Good morning. Are you enjoying the Olympics? I certainly enjoyed the opening ceremony, and not to mention all the beautiful performances of medals, swimming and cycling and all the rest of it. It's great. But I want to share with you this morning about another kingdom. Of course, the kingdom Matthew is talking about in his gospel this week and in chapter 13 of his gospel. And it seems that he's brought together many different parables about the kingdom that Jesus offered. And I don't believe that he told them all at once, just as Matthew has them joined in together. And one of these is about the wheat and the darnel. And that's the one I want to look at this morning. Because Jesus gives to the crowd this parable about a field owner who sowed the field with wheat, good, clean wheat. But sometime later, someone came and threw into that field weeds, darnel specifically. And the darnel and the wheat are almost identical. You can't really tell them apart until they come to grain. And the darnel grain is black and small. And the wheat, obviously, is golden and full. So the servants found this weed in the field and they came to the master and they said, "Who's done this?" And he said, "Oh, some enemy." So they said, "Would you want us to pull it out?" And he said, "No, because the two are so alike. Leave them there until the harvest. And when it comes time for the harvest, then you will see quite clearly what is weed and what is wheat. And you'll know it by their fruits. The wheat will be golden and the darnel will be black or dark. And so then you will pull up the darnel and throw it in the fire, and the wheat you will harvest and put in my barn." And Jesus here is speaking about his kingdom. And it's a parable trying to explain to the people that the kingdom is big enough. The kingdom can hold, can accept, can receive the good and the bad, the true and the false, the generous and the selfish, the just and the unjust. And it's not for us, it's not for you and me to decide who's in and who's out. As Jesus said in a previous parable, by their fruits you will know them. And it's the same here. He's repeating that the kingdom is inclusive. And there's one message that spoke to me strongly in this reflection. And that is, Eggs, don't judge. It's not for me to judge. And we have the beautiful quote from Pope Francis returning to Rome from the youth gathering in Rio, where he answered a question by saying, "Who am I to judge?" Beautiful. And another story that I share with you is, I was on the train coming back here. I think I've shared it before, but I'll share it again because it's beautiful. And I went up and got off the train and reached for my Mikey card, and it wasn't in my back pocket. So I jumped back on the train, went to where I'd been seated, and searched around. And this young fellow who'd been sitting opposite me on the way out from the city stood up and he said, "Are you all right, sir?" And I said, "Well, no, not really. I've lost my Mikey and my cards." And without so much as a second thought, he reached into his pocket and pulled out his Mikey and he said, "Here, take mine." Now, I had judged that fellow as a fairly scruffy, youngish teenager, schoolboy, all the time on his phone, and I made a really misjudgment. It's not for me to judge by appearances. And the same sort of thing recurs when we talk about somebody who follows such and such a football team. They're all like that. Not really. Or so-and-so is affiliated or aligned with one particular political party. They always think like that. Now hang on, he might be quite open to discussion, but I've categorised him like I did the schoolboy. Or someone dresses in a certain way, and we tend to say, we categorise him or her, which is totally inaccurate and totally unfair. Yeah. And so what I'm trying to say today, I suppose, is don't judge one another at all. And if you're going to judge in any way, judge by their fruits. Judge by the actions of the schoolboy, not by his appearance. And don't put him in a category. See his fruits. And just as Jesus did, he welcomed everybody. One of the great characteristics of his kingdom is it was inclusive. The will, the dream, the plan of his Father, which we call the kingdom, is inclusive. And it's not for us to judge who's in and who's out. All right. Don't forget our YouTube channel, will you? And have a great week and enjoy the Olympics. God bless.